Okay, so this video is picking up where we left off in the last one, where we just created the rectangle and the ellipse and modified it. So I'm going to come back over here, and we're going to talk about the rounded rectangle tool. Now, again, the same, everything up here works the same color. Let's just change the colors. So we have different colors here. Oh, you know what? I forgot that I was touching that rectangle. It's made it green now. Change that color back. Okay, come back down here. I'm going to select the background. Make sure you're not touching anything else. If you're touching one of these and you pick a color, it's going to change it. And it's even more sensitive in the 2020 version than the past versions. So just make sure you go back to your background to draw, and then you can always move the layer around. Okay, so I'm going to come to my rectangle, rounded rectangle tool, change the color. Let's work with that. And no stroke. Okay. Now the radius down here, the radius, that's the rounded part. You can't, if you create this and then try to modify this up here after you've created it, it won't let you. So I'm going to create this, and then I'm going to come up here and I'm going to try to modify it, and you see it's not changing my shape. The way I can make changes up here to this, it won't let me do it for this. But this pops up, and this is where you make the changes. And you can see here's my color, so if I decide I want to change that, and it's very similar, so I'm going to change it a little bit. There we go. Okay, so I can change it up here, change all this up here, and then also okay, we're good. You can change the corners, the way it's rounded, how it decides to round it out. So you have options for that. You have options in the way it handles. This works with the stroke. So let me create a stroke to show you. Let's do the black. Make it solid. Okay, so it changes. You see how it changes the where it's originating from? It just changes the point of origin. And then it changes how, and in this case, you're not going to see it because it's a closed end. But if this was just a line, you could see a flat end, a rounded end, or an extended end. And then how is it going to treat those corners? And in this case, it's negligible because the shape is large. Okay, so let me turn this back off. And then down here is where you control. You see I started with 32 pixels. So if I come in here and I type, let's try 50 and hit enter, it'll update all of them because they're locked, and it rounded it off more. Let's do something a little more substantial so you can see it. Okay, and you see now it's created the, let's go just a little bit higher. And now you see the interesting pill shape that it has created. I'm going to turn this off and move this to the top. So because I'm starting on the background, it's going to put that layer right above it, so I can move it around afterwards if I need to. Okay, so now I have my rounded rectangle shape that I created a larger radius for, so that I got more of a pill shape than just a rounded rectangle. Okay, next one on here. Now ellipse, we created a round circle by holding shift, but you can also create an oval. And then make any changes you want to that shape. And I'm just kind of racking up the shapes here. And then we have a polygon tool, and same scenario as before, but here you can determine the sides. So if you want 3 for a triangle, 4 for a rectangle, which repeats the rectangle tool, 5 for a pentagon, 6 for a hexagon, 7 for a septagon, 8 for an octagon, and so on. So I'm gonna create my, and shift should lock it for you. but I don't want to. I want to rotate it this way. Can always adjust this a little bit later. Well, my old tab isn't working here. There we go. And so I have a polygon. Let's move this just a little bit. I want this point to align here and this point to align here. Like that. And then you can use the line tool. And that allows you to draw a line. Now, you need a stroke for a line and a thickness. Oh, there's my weight. I think it's going to let me adjust it here anymore. Used to get it adjusted up here. I need that toolbar that I closed, so I'll just draw another line so it'll pop up. There we go. Thicker line. But if I want to edit this one, I have to use that toolbar, and that's Window, Shapes, Properties. This is the Properties one that you can always pull this off. Well, it wants me to pull them off individually. Okay, there we go. They like to, every time they come out with a new version, they like to modify something just enough to be frustrating to those who've already learned the software well enough that it becomes unconscious. You just start, you know, once you really learn something, you just sort of do it. You don't really think about it. And so for those of us who have been using Photoshop for a long time, some of the changes to 2020 are a little frustrating because they made changes that are pretty minor, and it changes how we do things. Okay, so there we are for those two. So lines, and then the last one, you can do a custom shape tool. And that pretty much allows you can do fill stroke. One of these colors, and that allows you to create a custom shape. Oh, in this case it's a tree, and that is found right here. Sorry, you have a whole bunch of different really cool shapes. It used to be over here. Leaf trees, wild animals. It lets you draw all kinds of really great shapes, and if you hold down the shift key, it maintains your aspect ratio, and you want to hold down the shift key when you're working with these shapes to maintain your aspect ratio. I'll pull the lion up to the top. Ooh, it even named it lion. This is new. I get excited with new stuff. And so there we have all the different tools that the shapes that you can use just from under the rectangle tool. Okay, and we'll continue this one in the next video.